94XO, it's Moni XO. I'm about to get up close and personal with co-author of 100 Things to Do in Missouri Before You Die, Amanda Doyle. Stay tuned. You're watching 94XO. Amanda, what inspired you to want to become an author?
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't expecting that to be the first one. You know, I always liked to write. I was the kid who was writing stories to send into Highlights magazine when I was in elementary school, and I'm old enough that when my mom was a teacher, she used the carbon copy paper, the purple mimeograph stuff, so I would make like a neighborhood newsletter on that and stink up the house with it. I liked writing, and when I got to high school and college, I knew I wanted to go into journalism. And part of what I like about it is it gives you license to be nosy.
Yeah.
You can ask a lot of questions, which is great. You know, it's an awesome way to get to know more about people and places. So yeah, so I started out in the journalism vein, and then I had opportunities come along related to that and started writing books, and now mysteriously I'm an author. So.
Yeah, so that's amazing. Like, what has been, I think, the most challenging things for you when you are being an author or when you're writing? Because I think a lot of people don't realize like a lot of the time that you put into writing books and
For sure.
you know, stories and whatnot. So what would you say is most challenging?
I think just getting it right is really important, especially, it seems almost less important now because so many things are online and it's easy to go back and change something if you make a mistake. But when you're making a paper book, it is important to get it right. And also when you're telling people's stories, when you're asking people to trust you with their information and their story, you got to get it right because it's so easy to get something wrong, and it's not about your life. It kind of doesn't affect you in a way. So I think just taking the time to do the research, get it right, double check, and make sure that you know that you're happy with what you're putting out there.
Yeah, for sure. And so you do a lot of research, and you just released your recent book. Can you kind of elaborate on what this book is about?
Sure. So this new book is called 100 Things to Do in Missouri Before You Die, and it's pretty self-explanatory.
Great title.
I mean, it's great and also a little scary. Of course, the timing of this book was not at all thinking with the global pandemic in mind.
Oh my gosh.
Right. But you know, but it's meant to be lighthearted. It's meant to be sort of a kick in the pants to go, you know, life is short, and there are so many things available to us. I've written a previous book that was about St. Louis, things to do in St. Louis. And so there are so many things that are just so easy for us to access and so cool and great and fun, and just making sure we take the time to do those things was kind of the idea behind the book, because it's easy to, you know, say, oh, I'm definitely going to get to that, or next time we have people come visit or whatever, and you know, we got to stop and do it when we can.
I really love the fact, because I was recently like getting into wanting to do different things. So first off, your St. Louis book, I was like, oh wow, everything's focused on St. Louis. And then when you released this Missouri book, I'm like, oh, it's so many things to do that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing when you look at it, because I think it's wherever you live, I think you kind of get bored with it after a while. And also, you know, when you live in a place, you're living your life. You're doing your job, maybe taking care of your kids, you're going through your routines, and so you don't necessarily take the time to explore the way you would if you went to another place. You'd be like, what's here? What's to see? So so this is that encouragement. And it's, you know, it's the same for me. I use my own book to remind me to go out to do something different. You know,
so what have been some of your favorite places that you've visited?
Oh gosh.
So many.
There are so many. Well, one of the things that I'm not from St. Louis originally, I'm from Memphis, and one of the things that amazed me to discover about Missouri, which I had never really thought about before coming here, was just the beauty of the outdoor areas that we have, that are so easy to get to from our area here. And you can be, you know, hiking among these million-year-old boulders within an hour and a half. You can see the greatest rivers on the continent. You can see wildlife. You can see bird species. You can see eagles. We went a couple of weekends ago up on the Illinois side to watch eagles. I mean, it's just incredible. You're right there, and they're doing, it's like a nature show. I kept looking at the people around me like, this is happening. So I think the outdoor recreation is the one thing that surprised me the most when I came here, and that a lot of people don't always think about when they think about Missouri.
And I really like the fact that you have flipped this into a positive. So a lot of people don't look at Missouri as like that go-to place. They kind of think down on it. I think I was recently talking to somebody, and they were saying that the first picture that they see when they pop up on the internet is like trailer parks or something like that. I'm like, what? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think you being able to actually list all of these cool places that we can visit that aren't that far from each other is really cool, and having like a family experience, because you don't have just like, you have entertainment, you have places to go outdoors,
Right.
restaurants and whatnot that I need to try. And it's cool to see that there are all these different places here, and we're not so like secluded and just thinking like, oh, it's just stuff in, you know, in St. Louis area. Like, it's
Right.
places everywhere.
Well, and this book especially, and I wrote it with a co-author, I should mention, John Brown. So we literally had a map, and so we sat down first and just were like, what are all the places, and just kind of, you know, made a big brain dump of everything that either one of us knew about or had heard about or wanted to look into. But then we did plot out on a map, like, we didn't want it to be the St. Louis and Kansas City book and two places in Jeff City, you know? So we made sure that we had things everywhere, and it's not hard. There are things everywhere. And really, there's so much history here too that I, again, was not aware of before I lived in Missouri. Going back to before we were a state, and the whole Civil War history of Missouri is all kinds of crazy. And when you learn about it, you're like, oh, that's why this place is so weird. But there's a lot to learn. And I think even for people who have been here, maybe even more for people who've been here their whole lives, to take the time to look into that stuff, because again, you don't necessarily think about that when it's where you live.
Yeah. But, now, how was it having a co-writer writing all these different experiences that you guys went through?
It's great, first of all, because it's less work for you. But it is funny to work with someone else because you know, we have different writing styles. So we each wrote our own entries. So we each did certain ones. We didn't collaborate really that much within an entry. And then we read each other's, and it's funny because John is a TV guy. He's been on TV, you know, all over the state for a long time. And so he writes like a TV guy, which is, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, he writes like, exactly, it's like this peppy, like, and I'm pretty peppy, but I was like, wow, everything is like, so he got me all amped up about it. So then I felt like I had to go back and kind of juice mine up a little bit too, which is good. But it's fun because you also, we brought different areas of expertise. John is all about some sports. Almost everything about sports in this book is his. I had a lot of like the dining and shopping and entertainment background from other stuff. And I have two young kids still. John has kids, but they're older. So that was a good balance too of like, John, you need to think about like somebody with a 4-year-old, what are they gonna go do? So yeah, it's a great experience. And it's fun when you know the person and you trust them. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you guys have made a book that's like amazing for people that are trying to find out where to go, you know, especially like with the pandemic going on. If you just want to take a quick road trip, you know, this is the perfect book to put like in the car and be like, hey, let's go here and try this out.
Right. Yeah, we were, I mean, it did, you know, again, that was, the timing was not in our minds when we started, but
it's a good look.
We really did. Yeah, we really did think like, well, this is, my friend calls it, where can you go before you have to stop to pee? How far can we get before somebody has to go to the bathroom? So yeah, it turned out to be great for that too, because we do want to encourage people to just be, you know, you don't have to get on a plane and go somewhere and have an amazing experience. You can find places right here. So
now, before we wrap up into the Causerie jar, can you let everybody know where they can purchase your book or find more information out about you?
For sure. So I have a website. It's amandaedoyle.com. And you can find the book there and more about me. The publisher has a website, reedypress.com, and we always love to tell people to go to our local independent booksellers, Left Bank Books, Subterranean Books, The Novel Neighbor, World News in Clayton, and everywhere else that you ever buy a book, we'll have it too.
Awesome. It's time for the Causerie jar segment. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull 3 questions out of the jar and answer them the best way that you can.
This is a little nerve-wracking.
Good luck.
Did you make up all these questions?
No, but I did approve them.
That makes me even more nervous. Okay. Oh, okay, this isn't so bad. 1 out of 3 so far. Whew. Why do you do what you do?
Oh, that's perfect.
I do what I do because I feel like, well, I'm a super curious person. And I also really believe in blooming where you're planted. So if you had asked me 30 years ago, where are you going to be in life? You know, would I have said married and living in St. Louis? I have no idea. Like really, it was not part of my life plan. But I think it's important to show people that you can find beauty and good things wherever you are, you know? And so if that's wherever you are in your life, you know, not just geographically, but wherever you are. So that's why I do what I do, because I feel like it's easy to get discouraged, and it's easy to just do the same old thing all the time.
Yeah.
I do it too. We all do. So it's as much for myself as anybody else, just to be a positive influence.
I love that. That's real happiness. That's true happiness right there. Next question.
Okay. I'm trying to
See,
decide
that wasn't that bad.
if it's better to get the skinny ones or the, I mean, I don't even know what my strategy is here. Let's see what this one is. Oh, I sort of answered this one already, but I'll do it anyway. What did you say as a kid when you were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always wanted to be a writer. I guess, I don't know, I thought maybe I would write novels. That hasn't happened yet, but we'll see.
It's still time. Don't
But you know,
worry.
when I was talking about submitting stories to the Highlights magazine, they never got published. And I found one recently, and I figured out maybe why, because I wrote a story about a bear who like killed and ate a bird, and I included an illustration of this bear with blood coming out. I mean, so.
So you can draw too?
No, I couldn't draw. It's terrible. But I did draw. But I'm thinking maybe that's why Highlights was not my market. Oh, what makes you anxious? What makes me anxious? Funny enough, deadlines make me very anxious, and yet I have chosen a career that is all about meeting deadlines. They make me anxious, but then it's good because that's a motivator to me.
Once you get to the deadline and you're finished, you're like, oh yeah, I did it.
That's why we call it a deadline, because you're done. It's all done after that. And you know, I have kids, and sometimes thinking about how their life is going to be makes me anxious, but I'm trying to just let it go.
Okay, that's understandable though.
It's not my life, you know, it's going to be their life, so.
Oh, that's the best way to think of it. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Moni XO, and we are out. Be easy. It's your girl Moni XO, and you just finished a 94XO interview. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media platforms. Be easy.